The most important thing is just doing it for a really long time and not going crazy. When I first started and I was getting 1,000 views on a video, and now, okay, we'd do 100,000 views on a video, it feels like a lot.
Did people take the piss out of you?
Probably behind my back, yeah.
Do you class yourself as a YouTuber?
When you're getting 1,000 views, 5,000 views, even 10,000 views on a video, you're not getting that many comments. There's definitely a point where it becomes too much. Dopamine, bing, bing, bing. Every single one is a little bit more dopamine. And then you got nothing left for your family, and you got nothing left for your friends, and you just want to sit around.
Do you ever worry about killing the moment for the sake of making a video?
Like, it just cracks you. It takes too much away from the rest of your life. After doing it for a few years, like, it's brutal, being switched on all the time. And suddenly it's overwhelming. I was done.
How does that actually feel?
Lack of motivation, being sat at home and being in a bad mood for no reason. Not wanting to go and make videos. I could probably get away with legally it being fine, but it's a dick move, isn't it?
I know your viewers don't want to hear this, so you're probably trying to be clever with what you say, yeah?
You asked me this 2 years ago, and I'm going to change my answer.
So today we are joined by cyclist, YouTuber, Francis Cade. Francis, how are you?
I'm good, thank you for having me.
For the audience who don't know you, what can you tell them, or what do they need to know from a guy who I know on part one, who used to stack shelves in a supermarket, up to having a YouTube channel of 320,000 subscribers or more? What do they need to know about you and how it all started to get to this position?
A quick summary of how things started. I used to race bikes. I got into video making a few years later after quitting racing, trying to race full time. Like, I wanted to be a pro cyclist, and then eventually got into video making, YouTube, covering races, and now owning a YouTube channel, which is more than just me, which is pretty cool and fun.
Again, because a lot of people are, they have their own fantasy of, I want to be a YouTuber, or I want to. Do you class yourself as a YouTuber?
I suppose so, yeah. Yeah, when people ask, I never know how to react if people ask what I do. Is it a media business? Am I in video production? That's a safe one. Or if you go, oh, I make YouTube videos, and then people are really interested. So it's only if you want to have a chat, just use that one.
So to me, obviously I'm a fan of your content. I used to watch your content back in the day before I had you on the podcast over a year ago now. And to me, you've made it. Like, that's how it would look. How does it look to you? Because obviously the guy who was stacking shelves, creating videos as and when he could, to having amassed a big following and having a big viewership and getting big views and genuinely just building a community that, it's very niche and people are massively interested in, clearly. How does that look to what you thought to how it actually is, having made it?
I never thought it would end up being a certain way. It feels exactly the same as when I first started and I was getting 1,000 views on a video. That feels like a lot. And now, okay, we'd do 100,000 views on a video. It feels like a lot. It feels the same. And it's still the same excitement you have from uploading a video and people reacting to it. And I love the process of making videos. And I think that's the important thing, is just enjoying. I like to go to work and I like to make the best thing possible, and then finishing it, little pat on the back. Try not to look at the feedback too much, because it's too much now. That's the thing that's changed. It's way too much compared to how it used to be. And then thinking, how do I make it better for the next one? And that's it, really.
Do you think the feedback was more in person then, though?
Yeah. It was also manageable not in person. So there's a comment section on YouTube, right? And there's people who will message you on other bits of social media. Maybe it's Instagram. That's very easy to deal with when you're getting 1,000 views, 5,000 views, even 10,000 views on a video. You're not getting that many comments, and it's very easy to just look at them and go, oh, it's a nice community of people. Like, they're all kind of like my friends who I've never met before. It's nice. There's definitely a point, and I don't know when that point is. I'd have to think about it, where it becomes too much. So we're not supposed to know that many people exist, right? And suddenly it's overwhelming, even if it's nice stuff, which 99.9% of it is. It's too much for our little brains to handle, isn't it? Like,
It's funny you say that, because I actually listen to
Do you read all your comments?
No. I try to reply to the nice ones.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just the way I'm kind of wired, though. I don't want to give any energy to anything negative anyway.
No.
But I was listening to something yesterday about, you said there how our brains almost can't comprehend that many people. It's a little bit like the food thing. Like, by proxy, if you like, we still are hungry people.
Yeah.
As in, we literally need food. And we are still... It wasn't that long ago when food was hard to get.
Yep.
On the grand scheme of things.
And now we have unlimited.
And now it's almost... Whether that's the reason why we have obesity and all these different things, but, it's almost like we have a tap now where we can just have unlimited supply. Mm-hmm. Very much the same in this world that we're both in. Because, again, when you've got all these messages and all these comments, good or bad, it can be hard to comprehend. From a negative point of view, how do you deal with that?
From negative, I can answer it in the same way as I deal with positive comments, which is a change of stance since we last spoke. I don't have the YouTube app. I very rarely look at comments. If I do, it's usually filtered through one of my colleagues. And I've said a couple of times, we have a podcast as well on our YouTube channel. And I've mentioned a couple of times, I don't read comments anymore. Some people are almost a bit offended. They're like, yeah, but you start a conversation, you want to see the reply. And it's like, yeah, only when it's been filtered. My theory is that whether they're negative or positive, it's just too much for our brains to deal with. And I'll give you an example. If you wake up in the morning and you open the little YouTube Studio app, do you have that app?
I do.
Yeah, uninstall that app. It's bad for you. You can see all of the comments on all your videos, the latest ones. And you start scrolling, and they're all nice, because they usually are. Like, we make videos about bikes, it's not very controversial. It's usually nice comments and people telling you their story, and it's like, oh, cool, like this guy's bought a bike off the back of our videos, and he's discovered cycling, and he's well into it. It's awesome. And you're reading all those, and it's just dopamine. Bing, bing, bing. Every single one is a little bit more dopamine. And then you've essentially spent it all for the day, and then you feel crap later. Because you've had all these lovely comments from people and all this social interaction of people that you haven't really met before, and then you got nothing left for your family, and you got nothing left for your friends, and you just want to sit around. And that is probably not that good for you.
That's really interesting, the fact that it's almost like you're kind of push away or have less dopamine, which ultimately we all trying to chase anyway.
And I'm not saying it has to be a complete ban on it. I deal with things better if I just set a rule. I don't have that app anymore. I don't look at comments. Setting aside some time on your desktop computer to have a look at them in work time, maybe. You set aside, okay, half an hour, I'm with Jimmy. Let's go through some comments and see what the general vibes are from the videos that we've uploaded. What's the response been? And then we'll go through and send a few hearts and whatever. So it's not, when I say I don't read comments, it's not 100% of them. It's just that constant cycle of little bits of dopamine from reading all these nice comments, which you then get addicted to because you want more of it. So then later on in the day, you're like, oh, I'm going to check it again. And then the next day you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I want to check this straight away. It's the first thing you do because it makes you feel good.
It's kind of funny because
it's not good for you.
Well, see, I suppose you clearly did this. I mean, I suppose there's an argument to say everyone who gets into YouTube do it not because of the comments, because there's got to be a place where comments aren't a thing when you first start, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
When you were getting, your 1,000 views a video and stuff, what was it that made you keep doing it?
I think the drastically quick progression when you learn a new skill, which was video making. I was just watching other people make videos that I wanted to make and try to copy it. Find someone's style and you're like, oh, wow, how is he making that? And working it out yourself and seeing that progression very quickly at the start with anything, right? Like you do a lot of gym stuff. How quick do you make gains at the start? Very quickly.
Yeah.
It's exciting. And I think that's how I've got into any hobby in my life.
Can you remember your first milestone, Francis? However that looks. You alright, people? Hope you're enjoying the episode so far. Here's a random one for you. Most of you who are actually watching this episode don't actually subscribe to it. So just do us a favour, will you? Can you click the like button, hit the notification bell so you don't miss another episode, hit subscribe, all that good stuff, because we go up and down the country to try and bring you the best show possible. We're not messing around here, so please just show some love, will you?
I would like to... The amount of videos made is a nice one that I think is a good, because it takes away the external validation. So I've now lost count, but definitely when I hit 100 videos, I made 100 videos on my own, because I was on my own for a long time on YouTube. And then 1,000, that was mad. That's a lot of videos. That's a valid milestone, because it's just what you've put in. I don't think the external, I do not know how many subscribers Cade Media currently has. I know perhaps within tens of thousands, but looking at that, it's just, I don't see too much value in it.
I love that. I love the fact that you can kind of compartmentalize almost the external accolades.
You can't control them.
Yeah.
Really. You can control your input. You can't really control if the video you've made is good or not. You can just control as long as you're doing the right things. And today I made the color grade a little bit better. And today I made the audio in that video a little bit better. It's things like that I'm really focusing on now.
Did people take the piss out of you in the early days?
Probably behind my back, yeah. And now everyone has a vlog.
What was family and stuff like? Again, because maybe it's just my family. I'm pretty sure there's other families like this, but I'm not a YouTuber. Well, I suppose I've got a podcast. Well,
you're 100% a YouTuber, mate.
Okay. Well, I certainly know as a videographer by trade, if you like, my family certainly didn't recognise that as a viable business to go forward with. It was just stick to a real job and all the usual stuff. How did you kind of convince people around you that what you were doing was the thing that you were
Your family didn't get it.
They didn't get it.
I mean, my parents, I struggle to imagine that they understood what I was doing, but I think they very quickly saw that it made me happy and I was enjoying it, and it was kind of getting me into good habits. And I don't know, I was finishing work, my actual work at 4 p.m. and then immediately going on a bike ride and filming a video. It can't be seen as bad. Your mum's going to be like, oh, that's a pretty good thing to do.
Was it a direct, I'm watching people on YouTube at the minute, I'm going to get into this? Or was it an actual, I want to film a video?
Bit of both. Can I say that?
Yeah. Have you overtook the people you once looked at back then?
Who really got me into YouTube? No. I don't think it's a case of overtaking, because it's a different path completely. If you're in a different niche, comparing yourself to other people, I don't think is
right. Sorry. See, I was assuming you were looking at other cyclists or cycling channels.
No, I wasn't. I was looking at travel videos, because I didn't have bikes in my first few videos. They were travel things, because we were going to some other countries with my partner at the time. I just filmed that and what was going on. And then I kind of stumbled into bikes, even though it was my passion before. I didn't kind of marry the two and realize there could be a opportunity there. You don't think about that. I'm not thinking in a business mind at all. I'm not trying to get video views. I'm just there making videos is cool, and I might as well put them somewhere. Let's put them on YouTube. That was more the thought process.
Do you ever worry about killing the moment for the sake of making a video?
Oh, 100%. And that's why the move from... So, for the audience here who haven't watched the first podcast that me and Ads did, my channel used to be lifestyle vlog content, right? So I'd go on a bike ride in my local area. I used to live in London. I'd ride my usual routes, and I'd film my friends, and I'd film things that they were doing, like my mate Chris, who was doing a charity ride at the time. He was riding every single day for 107 days in a row, over 107 kilometers to raise money for like a kid's school, right? So that was one thing that I filmed, and it was lifestyle, and it's basically the day of riding, and 100% it takes away from the moment because you're constantly thinking, what shot have I got to do next? Like, I'm here, I'll be in the room, but I'm always thinking, what's the next shot? What's the next shot? And it takes away from the moment, 100%.
What about in real life? So if you're with the missus,
that was all real life.
Yeah, true.
If you're making a video for the day, like if you're making a daily vlog, even though it's not daily, we'll use the word daily vlog as a broad term. It takes away from the whole day until that edit is done and uploaded and finally finished. You're totally switched on the whole time. And what has changed drastically, I think I was at the start. When did we last do our podcast? Like 2 years ago.
I think it was when you just changed to Cade, wasn't it?
I guess it was around that time.
Yeah.
So I went from just being me to then started to work with Jimmy, who you've met. And now we have Emily as well. So we are currently 3. Starting working with Jimmy, with them, like, right, we're going to focus on not just lifestyle stuff. We're focusing on like reviewing a bike or checking out some cycling kit or running through 10 tips for a new cyclist, right? All those videos that, build this sort of evergreen catalog. We're like, right, let's approach it from a slightly more business mindset and see if we can grow the YouTube channel. And as a byproduct of that, I made less lifestyle stuff. And now my bike rides, I don't have to pull out a camera every single time anymore. And it sounds silly, but after doing it for a few years, like, it's brutal being switched on all the time.
So in other words, starting Cade Media, which is now what the channel's known as, it's enabled you to kind of re-find your love for the things that you would have once made videos about.
100%. I've got so much more free time, in inverted commas, now than I did back when I was making lifestyle video. It looks like you're always having an amazing time, which you are in a lot of situations, but then there's so much more just being switched on and struggle behind the scenes that you don't see, and all the editing. And it was a ridiculous workload with probably the worst hourly rate in the world.
Do you know?
But that's how I had to do that to get it to the start of switching to Cade Media and becoming more of a media-based channel.
Did you start Cade Media because you wanted to go more down the lateral business, this can grow, scalability, or an actual, I'm killing too many precious moments here?
Yeah, I was done.
Right.
Done. The last hoorah was riding across America with one of my mates, and we raised a shit ton of money for charity, and it was like a daily vlog style thing. And I was like, and this is, unless this blows up to like ridiculous amounts of views and sends the channel soaring and the lifestyle stuff continues, I knew that was the deadline. And like at the end of there, I called Jimmy halfway through that trip, and I was like, I want to take the channel away from just me, so it's not all of that responsibility on me, and see where we can go with it, and just try other things.
Were you scared? Because you've obviously still cultivated at that point quite a big audience. Were you scared of effectively letting that control go a bit and making it less about you? Because I think from an ego point of view, that's something that's got to be hard to do, right?
No, I was so ready to change things. It's just because of the stress, I think.
It's so funny, mate, because you touch on a point there that really hit home, and that was a really good example of this. When I was in Miami last week, filming a bunch of content with a Gymshark team and stuff out there, and it was unbelievable, right? To think this is my job that you can't apply for, I just buzz. I've got the biggest buzz in the world.
I want to talk about what you do as well.
But what I would say is, like, a lot of the times when I was filming, I wasn't in the moment, because I was like, I'm so focused on getting the shot. Obviously, I'm paid to do that, so without that, I wouldn't be there at all. But at the same time, I'm like, this is the first time I've ever been to the States, mate. I'm 35. I'm in South Beach, Miami. It's really hard to enjoy it when you're there for work.
Well, you were at work.
This is the thing.
That's why it's important to not only work. Turns out having the way that like work is structured and being able to switch off your emails and have a day, things turn out like that because it's sustainable.
Do you
That's
still
why
struggle
everyone
with
ends
that?
up, huh?
Do you still struggle with that, like being able to switch off and have a day?
Oh, massively. Massively. My wife will tell you.
How was it for her? When
She also works insane amount, so she completely understands my point of view and my habits around work. But we both help each other and remind each other to switch off and not to do work. Because no matter how much like hustle porn and all of that crap you see, the most important thing, if you have like if you have a passionate goal, a passionate thing that you're focusing on, like for me, this is everything. I love it. Then the most important thing is just doing it for a really long time and not going crazy and putting in, lots of fun times as well where you're not thinking about it at all is so important. I know there's people who take a month off a year, and it reaches a point where that's the kind of, maybe not that extreme, but you definitely want to do stuff like that. So it takes me a week to like calm down if I have time off, which is rarer than it should be. It takes me a week to calm down, and then it's a week of relaxing. So actually you need to put in that time to stay sane, and then you hit it hard again.
I think for me in particular, it's the fire's always up my arse because I know that I could lose all my clients tomorrow. And I always fear that. Although my other half does reassure us that, you've done this for a long time now, like no one's going anywhere. But I can't help but think that could happen.
Yeah.
So I really, really struggle with it's sound. I'm just going to watch Emmerdale Farm when the laptop's there. And I know I can crank out some stuff which will help me build the business that I've been working for my whole life. And that's the shit that I really struggle with. And that's why I want to ask you if you kind of struggle with them same things and how you've managed to establish the more of a business side or a business arm. Although it was always a business, Francis Cade. Effectively, you worked for Francis Cade, although you are Francis Cade. I'm assuming you were.
Yeah, I still do, I guess, yeah.
Was it a company? Was it a limited company?
Yeah. I can't remember when I set up as that.
But you effectively
I was
worked
self-employed for a while.
Yeah.
This is for only relevant to the UK viewers, listeners, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
Eventually, you become a limited company because it makes sense on paper, and then hiring people it's way like that's the only way you can hire. I think you can if you're self-employed, but it's not as streamlined and like.
No, I think that's as the US LLC, don't they?
LLC.
Like when you become that, bringing people into the business and stuff and all that is much easier. It's much smoother of a transition.
Yeah, it's complicated and it's not my. This is what it's Jimmy Jobs. Jimmy Jobs.
So what I want to ask, because it's 2025.
Yeah.
Everybody, every man and his dog, all my clients, people who are understanding the influencer world, the YouTube space, personal brand is paramount. To a point where a lot of businesses now, massive, multi-million pound organizations, have now started to create content in and around the founders. If you look at Gymshark, Ben Francis is now YouTubing.
The founder, you're right.
Yeah. If you look at Represent, the clothing business, George Heaton, vlogging. You look at, and it's almost became a personal brand thing. And I believe the personal brand enables community to buy into the guy. We can see the face of the business, You've done it the other way around completely. So you've built out Francis Cade to a point where I can't do anymore. I'm now going to effectively, although you're still a face of the business, you are not the face of the business.
It's nice not being the face of the business.
So you've had to let go. That's what I'm saying. You've had to let go a lot though, because now if I was to tune on to Cade Media and I just saw 3 videos all from Jimmy and only Jimmy, I'll be fine with that.
Yeah.
Because
That's
I've
amazing.
almost
mission accomplished. Because I think it's a pressure thing.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be. I did it for a long time, so probably 7 years of just making videos on my own, and I think it just reached a point where I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to? I've got real like-minded friends, and their opinions that I trust, and it would be amazing to have a channel which features them. And there'll probably be more of them in the future. Spoilers. And I just really like the idea of having a channel that put out content with the same ethos and the same messaging, because we're really careful with that, and we really believe what we say, and have other people do it, so it's not just me, and taking away that pressure, because there's a lot of pressure if it's always you that has to be involved in making a video, and I think we're very close to that happening now.
Do you ever worry? Again, I know that you kind of bring in friends into the business, which is it's unbelievable.
Always, I only work with friends.
But do you work? That's interesting. Do you ever worry that they're not going to believe in the vision like what you do, though, deep down, because they're still not Francis Cade?
No, I've been friends with them long enough that I know.
But do they want to be YouTubers as much as you?
How much do I want to be a YouTuber?
Well,
that's YouTube is such a strange.
I feel like I'm unraveling something here, because when I first had you on the podcast, Francis, like, it was. I mean, and I'll tell you where I'm at. So I went through a period of getting into cycling a little bit, as in just me interests. Never actually did it. I got into it.
I know you tried to put that together the other day. There's a bike out of shot, and it was carnage.
If the video is out, mate, I'll link it.
It required a lot of censoring.
I have never made a fool of myself as much in my life, but. So at the time, I would watch you. I'd watch a few of the lads who all had separate channels, but in and around your community and stuff. And that's what I got into. So I started watching you, following your content, and I was entertained by that. So although I wasn't out on the roads or cycling, it was almost like a safe place for me. I'd go in, that's the videos I'd watch, and I used to constantly watch that, and I love that. A lot of my friends now are the people who I used to watch, because I'm in that industry and I work with a lot of them guys. And you were no different in that sense. However, I feel when it went to Cade, when you changed to Cade, I lost a bit of you in that. For me, that didn't suit me. But that's just me. I still love the channel, still love what you're doing with the podcast and the Wild Ones podcast. I think that's incredible. Obviously, Emily on board, Jimmy, you've seen him a lot more, which I think is brilliant. But for me, when I followed you, it was for you. It wasn't about anything else. So I kind of, as much as I understand from a business perspective, I can also understand why a real fan of you may be dissuaded a little bit more about the content.
I don't think it's, you use the word business perspective. I think it's more of a sanity perspective. There's only so long you can be absolutely smashing on your own, producing video. And eventually it comes a point where you're like, I can't do that anymore. And that just cracks you. It takes too much away from the rest of your life.
Well, that
perhaps there's a personal problem. Like I can't balance things properly, and that's probably true. But in my circumstance, I had to stop and I'd do something else.
But this is why I wanted to ask you that, and this is why I want to get that out of it, because this is really important, because everybody wants to be a YouTuber. And to see someone at the height of where you've went, and I understand you'd be modest saying there's people who are bigger than you, but you've went to a place where not many people who are going to pick up a camera will ever reach. So it's important to identify that actually even you've had burnout in some way. What does that actually look like, though? You know, when you said, like, I couldn't take any more, like, you know, what does that look like really deep down? When you're on your own and no one's there, how does that actually feel?
Lack of motivation, being sat at home and being in a bad mood for no reason, not wanting to go and make videos, and not wanting to go and ride my bike, even though I wasn't making a video. Like, that was absolutely my passion. Like, I used to race bikes, and you'd get out on the bike every weekend and you really love it just for the sake of loving it. Like, some people go for a run, just, well, why are you doing it? Because you love it and you enjoy the process. And it started to chip away at the love for it, and other things in life as well.
Do you think would it be fair to say, because you'll find someone has a passion, I understand you can monetize that now, you know, you get into YouTube, create content on your passion, Do you think people have got to be careful about marrying up a hobby with trying to monetize it in case they lose the love for the hobby?
Careful, maybe. I think it can be done, and certain people's personalities will allow them to do it and just enjoy it and do things in moderation. Maybe I'm not that person. It depends what their goal is. Are they doing it just on the side as well as doing something else, having a work focus somewhere? Or are they trying to make it their full-time thing? If they're making it their full-time thing, think further down the line as well. Like, are you going to be making, like, what was I going to do? Carry on making lifestyle vlog videos right up into my 50s? Probably not. So I think you just discover. I can only speak for myself. I personally worked out how to make videos, learned the process, learned how to make scripted videos, learned the process there, learned how to review products but in no way will I ever call myself a journalist, but in a more journalistic way, in a more unbiased way. Like, that's a kind of new skill to me. And the last 2 years has been working all of that out, and what language you use and what language you should be using in videos to make people feel included and that they can get into it too. So it's all of those skills stack on top of each other. And then by the time that's happened, you're already making different style of videos and trying different projects and trying bigger things. So making those old school style YouTube videos is great, and it gets you really far, and it is exciting, but you have to just sometimes let it evolve into the next thing.
See, because I see it, right? And I see the correlation. I see the very same personality trait, archetype, if you like, mindset that you have to a lot of friends that I have who have become very successful. And I saw it massively when, and I observe people, but massively when we did that video recently with Jimmy.
Yeah.
And I saw the way you...
Do we want to explain to the viewers what we
we
did?
Yeah.
So I called ads. I'll send you a voice note, and you were on the way to a wedding or something, saying, do you want to come in and put together a bike, because I know that you know nothing about bikes. So we had a bike in the studio that we're reviewing, which we asked. This is Canyon. It's on the shelf but next to us, and this brand aren't sold through bike shops. So we wanted to give an example of what it's like as a customer who's just bought the bike and doesn't really know how to put a bike together, and is it an easy process, because everyone's going to have to tackle it. So I give you a voice note and said, do you want to come in? You were like, I'm going to make a fool of myself. And I'm like, you won't make a fool of yourself.
To be fair, it was the way you sent us the voice note. I didn't know whether to be offended or not. Like, you were like, we need someone who hasn't got a clue to basically come forward and do this thing on video.
Nothing wrong with not having a clue about putting a bike together.
Fine.
It's a pretty weird thing.
There's not.
Niche skill.
But not having a clue to 300,000 people, slightly different.
I'm sure when it goes live, everyone's going to say how much of a legend you are. And there's sound bites there, which are just very, very funny as well.
I maybe shouldn't have. Yeah. Anyway, but what I did notice about you on that day, Francis, was the way you kind of handled this. So, because I'm on this side of the screen, I understand, or behind the camera normally, I understand how things work, how things are made, how things are put together. You mentioned scripted videos and stuff. The way you were, and can we do this? Can we do that? Can we do it this way? Can we say this? Can we?
You've got to, that was the mode that I was in all of life, all the time.
So that
can you
right
imagine
there,
that? This is in a work environment, which is how it should be. But if you're in making lifestyle vlogs, like a few years ago, I was like that all day. Or silently like that in my head. Maybe I'll sat on the sofa, I look like I'm chilling, but actually I'm going like, oh, what's the next shot? I've got to figure out this. Can we do that? Can we do that?
But the thing is, what resonates, I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was working with Ben Davison, Anthony Joshua's coach, down at his gym, and I said this to him, I said, I don't see you as a coach. I see you as a scientist, almost. The level of obsession that he has with how things are done and being there and revising footage on YouTube and looking at different fights and how we can plan and strategize and what would happen, all different contingencies. And most people just think a boxing coach just goes in, just bit pad work, maybe he's a bit mindset stuff. This is on another level. But you've got that same thing. And I can quickly understand why you have the success you have. And I feel like a lot of people just don't have that level of that. So many people don't have it. And I feel like that is what is required. As much as burnout is a necessary evil, or it kind of comes with the territory. I feel
this is the problem. Like if you ask me, get to this point again, clean slate, like time travel back to before I started making videos, I still do the same thing.
Yeah, I know.
Despite it being all burnout and horrible. And it's like, what advice can you really, really give to someone who's just starting? Make 1,000 videos.
Yeah.
It's not nice advice, is it? Make 1,000 videos and then every single one try and make it better. Because you learn what you want to do during that process, don't you? It's just repeating it.
Reps, innit?
I could do it. Yeah, it's just reps. It's the same as going to the gym, I'm sure. I've heard.
but again, yeah, exactly. It's the same. And that level of obsession is what people need to be aware of, because I think it's an innate thing.
I think it's still achievable without that level of obsession, isn't it? People have way better relationships with work. It just might happen a little bit slower.
Do we have that time though?
I don't know. I was just listening to a podcast about how AI might change medicine to a point where we do live an extremely long time within our lifetime. So perhaps we do have time, ads. We'll be young forever.
It's interesting that you do it again, though.
Yeah.
That's after everything you've said. It is interesting you do it again.
Yeah.
I feel I've gathered from what you've said. Is there going to be a point where you're no longer on camera? I know your viewers don't want to hear this, so you're probably trying to be clever with what you say, yeah? If you don't know by now, I run a business called The Content PT. I create content for influencers, PTs, online coaches, and fitness brands all around the world. So if you are someone who's in need for sexy content for your social media, or you really want to maintain a competitive edge in your industry, drop me a DM on Instagram.
No. Not for an extremely long amount of time. But I don't particularly like being on camera. I'm not very good at being on. I don't think I'm very good on camera. Still, I watch my big YouTube channels in other niches, and I'm like, they are really, really good on camera, and they're like the media training, and you've ever watched TV presenters do their thing? Like, I would love if I could do that, but I'm not predisposed to being good on camera.
But you are.
Nah, I don't think so. I don't think
no,
so. At all.
But you are.
It's reached a point where I think it is an acceptable level, and I'm happy with it, and I'm not embarrassed now when I watch myself back as much as I was. It still am, but not as much as I was years ago.
But that's still all the ingredients.
But luckily, I don't care if I look embarrassing. I just don't really care.
Okay.
What I will probably always have a love for is the edit itself, and I will always edit my own stuff. I love editing my own videos. If Cade Media grows, so we got another filmmaker involved, and they're making their own videos, and they're mostly in their own videos, and they've scripted that video, right? They should be the ones to edit that video too. I wouldn't edit those ones. But the ones that I'm involved with from start to finish, through the whole production, I think that's where I'd always want to be involved. Whereas being on camera, I love editing Jimmy. He's way more funny on camera. All the little things he does. I find that way more entertaining. Whereas editing me, I'm just like, oh, why did I say that like that? Why did my voice do that there?
But that level, though,
horrible.
I feel like that's what you might struggle with that if you had other videographers scripting their own videos with them in it. Part of Cade Media. Mm-hmm. Because I think you might struggle, because I feel like there's still a bit of control that you need.
Yeah, probably. But I can really try. Other channels manage it.
What is the goal for you? What is the overall goal?
You asked me this 2 years ago.
I did.
And I'm going to change my answer. 2 years ago, I said, I want the biggest cycling YouTube channel in the world, or something like that. I don't really care about that. If that happens, then great. My goal is to go into work every day, laugh, have fun, make the best thing possible, and go, I've done a good job there. And then go home.
How far are you from that point now?
I'm already there.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're happy deep down?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I finished now, which is a big change from when I used to just be working on my own. I said to Jimmy the other day, we came in and we filmed 2 episodes of a format we have called Roast My Ride. I think it's actually called Rate My Ride, but we always call it Roast My Ride. So it's people send in their bikes. and then we roast them. And we came into work, and then we sit here for probably 4 hours total with a few little breaks, and we laugh like in stitches. And I get to hang out with my mate, and then I get to go home, and then I edit it, and I laugh again because I've forgotten everything that we've done in the studio, and I experience it all again, and I sit there and I edit it, and I'm laughing the whole way. And then I get to sit there, and there's a little challenge of how do you make that video, in terms of the edit, how do you make two people sitting at a table interesting? So I'm doing all these little things and learning a new bit of Adobe Premiere Pro or whatever it is. Like, oh, now I'm like zooming in slowly and then putting some weird animations and using AI to make a little figurine version of Jimmy. The weirdest stuff, but I love it. And then I finish that and I'm like, that was a good day at work.
Regardless of the views.
Yeah, I don't know how many views that video got.
Do you know?
No, no idea.
Do you literally keep no track?
Yeah, sometimes I accidentally see it because my TV will be signed into Cade Media or get a recommended Cade Media on the TV. But yeah, like I literally have a burner account on my phone, so I don't have any cycling videos, anything that points to Cade Media on my phone. I don't have the YouTube Studio app. I couldn't tell you the last 5 video view counts that we've had, the last 10. But occasionally, like I said, with the comments, me and Jimmy will sit down, and Emily, and review what did well and what didn't do well every 3 months.
Yeah, I think it's, again, that's...
On occasion. What's your relationship like with your YouTube Studio app as a person who uploads fairly regularly?
We upload every week. We put about 30, 40 shorts out every week, along with TikTok and all that stuff as well.
Yeah.
I've got the app. I try. See, the thing is...
So the app, again, for the audience members, the app is it's not the YouTube app, it's a YouTube Studio app. So it's for creators, and you see your latest video performance, and then it says like 1 out of 10 is
ranked.
Out of 10, how well has your last upload done compared to the last 10 videos? So there's this weird immediate like feedback of like, oh, my video's done really badly, or oh, my video's done really well.
Well, if I don't want to see that, I get an update off Mike every week, and he'll send us it on WhatsApp as well, just to let you know this is how we're. I'm
just let you know the video's doing shit.
See, the problem is that I've faced with that is I effectively do that for all my clients.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
So we keep up with performance. We need to know, what we can do better for the next lot of content and stuff. Because I'm banking content on a monthly basis ahead of time for the client. Me head's so in their game, it's very hard to, this is why we have the setup we do, because it makes it just easy to kind of roll out. And I feel like because my mind's on the business, it's not really in my own stuff as much. But that's how I prefer it. Because I think once I got caught, because I like to be in control all the time. And once I start doing that to myself, I then start pulling things apart. Can we do this? What about this light? What about this light? We had an argument today about lenses on the way here to this shoot. There's just we're talking about marginal gains, 1% and stuff, and it's a constant marginal gain conversation. But I'm obsessed with that. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I'm told that it's probably a good thing. What they don't see is how much mental energy you put into this small stuff, and I think that's the problem. That can be a big problem for some people, because if you focus on that small stuff, it can take away from the fundamentals. However, if you don't focus on the small stuff, how can you expect to grow? Because I think just doing the same thing all of the time plateaus. Like the gym, same thing. If you lift a certain amount of weight every week and never increase the volume of that weight, you just won't get any more muscle. You can train for 40 years and you just won't grow new tissue.
Yeah.
Probably like cycling.
Yeah, you got to change your trait. You got to keep adding volume. So the more you do.
And I think people don't understand that though. I think they think we found a formula, we'll roll it out. And that's why I understand how you've pivoted with YouTube. Yeah,
it's almost not a pivot. I guess that was a pivotal point, changing the name of the channel. But really, it was an ongoing, it was a slow process. I tried a certain type of video. We then looked at if it was received well, and then tried a different type of video. Was it fun to make? Tried a different type of video. Eventually, it just evolves, and then the stuff that you don't want to do becomes very obvious.
If Cade Media had bombed, would you have went back to the vloggy stuff?
No, I would have got a normal job.
Would you? I was
Tried
going to say,
something else?
do you ever think of
Normal
that?
job. Maybe this is a normal job now.
Do you
Loads
ever
of
think of
people do
that? You could end up being back. I mean, hopefully not.
God, I think it would be hard. It'd be hard working for someone else again.
Yeah. Is that because
Not to just advertise my unemployableness, but I don't think I'm the easiest person to work with at a baseline. So
I can only imagine if I was the manager of that supermarket that you worked in, and you were making videos, thinking, is he taking away from the work? Is he nipping off?
know.
Not at all.
Nah.
We
Also, the work was being hungover with your headphones in, scanning products and putting them in a basket. Doesn't involve that much energy.
True. Do you know what's crazy though? I'll share this with you. So I was told by I used to have a business before Content PT.
Yeah.
I'll not mention the business, but I had business partners involved with that business. And I remember I wanted to start a podcast back then. And I remember them saying to me, ads, effectively, until you're a millionaire, don't start a podcast. Because you should be given every single thing into that business to make yourself very, very successful before you do something for yourself. But for me, which I kind of...
For someone else. It was you were working for someone else.
I had two business partners.
Okay.
So we all owned the business together. But I was kind of the brains behind the whole thing.
I think there is probably some truth in focusing on one thing and not getting distracted.
Problem is, though, I needed to do something for me as well. And I've always, and again, a little bit like the unemployable thing. I've pretty much been told that by every boss I've ever had. so, and I'm not looking to go back in employment. I would definitely go back there if I absolutely have to. I mean, I've got a daughter.
You sure? Because we need someone to put together our bikes.
Yeah, maybe he's not. No. So what I want to ask is about the actual content.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier about scripting videos.
Yeah.
For a viewer or listener to this, Francis, I don't think many people are aware of how many videos are actually scripted. Do you think more people script their videos than not?
Depends on the type of video. That's not a very good answer, is it?
Okay, then. Is it something that is common in YouTube?
Yeah.
Scripting videos?
Yeah. Channels have become more professional over time to the point where now it's TV shows are now moving onto YouTube, aren't they?
Yeah.
If it's a chat show or a podcast, there's no script, usually. We have a vague outline, like bullet points and things to cover. And sometimes we do read during our podcast, that's a good point, but it's because we're covering news and the wording needs to be exactly correct. With a chat show like this podcast, there's no script. With a video about that bike, and it's 16 minutes long, there's probably half script, half just we pulled the camera out and chatted when we were outside on the road, because you wanted to get your thoughts on camera. Whereas if you're talking about that bike, what sizes it comes in, what the weights are, the claimed weights, what the specification and the gearing is, and what type of brakes it has on, I'm reading that off a script, because if I try and do that off the top of my head without staring at it, which makes a crap video, then it doesn't make sense. It will come out wrong, sorry.
Do you think scripting videos make it fake?
No, not at all.
What about, see, because...
It makes it better, because it's just writing, which is organizing thoughts in your head into a digestible format for someone else, right? Which is a really good skill that I did not have when I used to make videos on my own, and I've had to learn that in the last couple of years. That you end up with a significantly better product if it's an informative video about like a new bike or a piece of tech or whatever it is. There's nothing wrong with scripting stuff at all.
Because I remember when I felt a little bit icky, right? I was in a mentorship, and effectively they were helping creators create more viral content.
Right.
And then they were talking about like reaction videos, maybe it's like grabbing a girl's hand on the beach and getting a reaction from her. But then when they broke it down, they said, no, you approach a girl first, tell her to give you a certain reaction. At this point, I was like, I can't get on board with making videos where the reaction is
fake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
Because then what am I actually watching at this point? where does it end with script and stuff? That's what I'm getting at. Like, is there a point where you think, do you know what, maybe the creator... I get it if it's news or if it's a certain stat and you've got to have it verbatim. I totally get that. Mm-hmm. But if I'm watching my favourite tech guy doing unboxing, best believe I want him to know what he's talking about. I don't want to feel like he is just reading something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So it's always like finding the line, and you've done it very well because obviously I've seen how you kind of do your videos. And for the listeners or viewers, again, when I say scripted, it's not scripted as in we're going to plan ads as reaction. That is legit. I was there. I've been in the video. I know how they work. And it is authentic. What I'm saying is for the guys who script videos, as in the reaction type of stuff, do you agree with that stuff? If it's a case of this is going to elicit more growth or views than scripted versus just put out a video that you want to create?
Yeah, no, the fake stuff shouldn't be fake. If you're deceiving people, that's wrong. Mm-hmm. And that stuff shouldn't exist. And I hope people see through it.
Yeah.
In terms of what we do with like the boring specs part of a bike being scripted, that will happen on all tech channels. So if you watch think about the latest iPhone, MKBHD or something. It's teleprompter. Whole thing teleprompter.
Yeah.
But it will go off script occasionally. Like if you're messing around with they're messing around with a computer on screen, and then suddenly they go off script. They go off script. Like that's the same thing we do. We'll be talking about something, and suddenly Jimmy will then ask me a question, and then we'll be talking for 2 minutes on camera, which usually gets cut down.
So like someone like a Peter McKinnon, I know he'll be using some kind of
teleprompter.
Yeah. Do you know that for a fact?
I would put money on it.
Would you?
But again, it will be a hybrid. There'll be some bits that are not. But in order for something to come across really well and polished, it's usually always scripted.
So do you think
it's a video essay kind of thing? Like there's nothing wrong with that kind of scripting.
So for someone who's starting out and they're going through I just need to create 1,000 videos, as Francis said, and get good at creating videos before.
I would have done scripting earlier.
Yeah, would you?
100%.
If someone started a day,
Yes.
would you plan on scripting videos?
Yes.
Would you actually?
Not if you were just going out and filming your day with no, you were documenting. Mm-hmm. No. If you went out and you had a topic to talk about, then at least chuck some bullet points in your phone, and that's a script. Yeah. It might not be the longest script and the most in-depth script, but there's little prompts, and then it makes sure you don't miss any points. You end up with it's a better product.
So a lot of your videos have blew up over the years. How do you find a strategy that works? Because, I mean, you did the 10 things I hate about, or I watched something the other day that you did, and it was, I think it was my worst purchases, and you were talking about different saddles and different bits and bobs you'd bought.
Yeah.
Literally just recently I watched that video.
Yeah. I remember making it.
Unbelievable video.
Which is rare. Usually I delete the videos from my own brain.
See, I thought that was a class video. I can instantly tell that video done well. I almost know the form. It's hard to explain. I almost know the formula. Like with music, I can tell a hit song why the song's a hit.
Yeah.
Really mad that. But I think I've got a different ear for it.
Oh, you're like Rick Rubin. Do you know him?
It's hard to explain what I mean. I do.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain what I mean, but it's the same with the video. Like I almost know the key components to make.
You're just so confident in your taste.
Do you know? So when and I'm like, I understand from a searchability point of view. I understand the kind of these things I did. I wish I knew or whatever.
Yeah.
How much of that do you look on YouTube, take a bit of inspo from? Yeah, that's performing. I'll do my own version. Versus,
I probably spend like a morning every week just doing that. And sometimes I'll just be on YouTube anyway, watching stuff, and then I'll be like, I could do a bike version of that, and that would be sick. So I put it in my notes. I'd have show you my notes thing after this podcast. It's just pages.
You actually showed us that the other day.
It's horribly organized. It's the thing Jimmy was like, I can't believe that exists. That document is horrible because it's just it's my brain in a document form. It would have to be translated for someone else.
That's mad.
Also little WhatsApp groups with other YouTubers and other niches. So like guitar YouTube, music YouTube. We'll be like, I did this video which was pro bike mechanics, most hated things. I'm like, it did really well. That was one of my formats I came up with without any inspiration. I was just like, oh, this might do well. Let's try that. We've made it like a few different times now with different experts, like bike fitters' most favorite products and things like that. And I sent it over to my guitar people, just like, oh, this is done really well, guys. Lo and behold, there are now a few guitar videos on YouTube which are pro guitar tech's most hated things and how to fix them. It's the same video idea, but just to apply to a different niche.
So that's what I'm saying. That's
So something does well. Do you know Simon Squibb?
Yes.
He,
What's your dream?
Twickenham-based guy. Like,
bought a
and
staircase.
he asked people what his... Yeah, bought a staircase. I've been past that staircase.
Have you actually?
Yes. And
Did you share your dream with him?
he did... No, I've never... I should. Shall I ring the doorbell?
You need to do it.
No, I've already done my dream. It's just laugh at work and then go home.
Fairs. That's fairs.
Eat an ice cream.
Have you bought a staircase though?
Sorry?
Have you bought a staircase?
I have not bought a staircase.
That
I
would
don't
be-
want a staircase.
That would be unbelievable. Staircase here. You can
Yeah.
have a little post box where people submit video ideas.
Would you submit one?
100%.
Sick. Okay. Where was I going with this? Simon Squibb, he uploaded a video which was X number of business years of knowledge in 100 minutes or
45
something
minutes.
like that, right?
Yeah.
You've seen it.
Yeah, I've watched it.
There is now, and people have not asked his permission to do this, like exact copies of that video, like by a load of other people who are in the same kind of space as him. And I bet there's cycling ones. I bet there's guitar ones. 10 years of music knowledge in X number of minutes. If something goes viral and does well, people then copy it.
Do you think he would have been the originator?
I think he was I'm not 100% sure. I think he was.
So,
Because he's then commented on other people's episodes like, hey, this was my video idea. You should probably give me a nod. I don't mind you copying it. He's very good about it.
it's fair
A classy
game, isn't it?
response. But,
it is fair game, isn't it? Like, you're allowed to do that.
You're allowed to. Well, there's what is legal and then there's what is moral, ethical.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair.
If I started the content FC and I started interviewing every single person that you've interviewed and had an orange logo and that kind of thing, I could probably get away with legally it being fine, but it's a dick move, isn't it?
Has it happened to you?
Oh yeah, people. Okay, really good example. 10 things I wish I knew when I started cycling is one of the best performing videos I've ever done, and I've done like every year. I kind of remake it with more things, different things. I came up with that. Well, I didn't come up with it. I discovered that video format from Rhett Shull, guitar YouTuber, and I messaged him because we were kind of connected anyway, just through YouTube, through a mutual friend. I asked him, is it all right if I make a bike version of this? So I actually asked, and he's like, yeah, go ahead. He wanted to get into cycling, and now he's literally about to do his first 100-mile race or something. This was awesome because of my video, not because of my video. And he said, yeah, I made it. It did really well. His did really well, so it had a high chance of doing well. And now at least 2 or 3 other cycling YouTubers have done versions of that video with almost exactly the same title, even the same kind of stuff on the thumbnail. And I don't mind in the slightest. It's not a zero-sum game. Did their videos make mine do worse? No. They make mine do better. They probably mine probably gets recommended after their one plays, because that's how YouTube works. There isn't enough content for people to watch in cycling. So we're like way far. Like this, I'm sure the amount of new audience joining YouTube outweighs the amount of new creators making content. So like there isn't enough stuff to watch. I don't know. It's not like TV where you only watching one channel, and if you change to another channel, you're not watching the first one.
Yeah, of course.
YouTube, you're just watching everything. So in terms of like, if you're purely looking at it in terms of numbers, it's a good thing. If you're looking at it in terms of, was this person inspired by my video, then sick. I got something right.
How much effort should someone put into thumbnails and titles?
Quite a lot of thought. It now has become easier because I've got to know what works, and it forced me to learn other new skills. I do all of the, except for the podcast, which Emily does. We worked on that together, and we have kind of set things that work. But she comes up with genius ideas and just does it now, which is amazing. She's much smarter than me. I've worked out what works for cycling videos, by trying loads of different stuff. I think it's okay. I'm always tweaking things and experimenting, but it's taught me to use Adobe Illustrator and how to cut out a bike. That's been, you take a photo of a bike and you're outdoors. How the hell do I cut out all the little spokes and everything? Like, it's that kind of job. I've learned to become efficient with that. And I know how to put text in an image and all of these things. So I guess like if YouTube collapsed and I needed to get a normal job again, I could go into like Photoshop.
So do you do a thumbnail or title first and then create the video around that?
Usually, yeah. I create a thumbnail as a title first in my horrible document on my phone.
And then just create the video leading up to the
Yeah,
title.
yeah.
Never the other way around. Never just film.
Usually then straight into the thumbnail. Do I have any good thumbnail ideas? If there's no good thumbnail ideas, maybe leave it till later and wait for one to appear in my brain when I'm in the shower or something.
Do you A and B split test them? Your thumbnails?
Now, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm scared of it though.
Why?
Because I'm scared like if one of them's completely crap, then it's going to affect the whole trajectory of the video at the start. Not that I know anymore because I actually look at the app, but I'm a little bit cautious with it. Like I'll do 3 thumbnails that look almost the same, but change the color of an arrow or something or a bit of text and then go, yeah, that's enough.
What about
Safe.
Keywords and tags and stuff?
Bicycle.
Do you bother with... Again, just for someone who's listening or watching, I know for a fact, if I was younger and I was getting into YouTube and I watched a podcast and the guy had 300,000 subs, getting all these views, created his own thing, been at it for years, I'd be like, right, I want to learn this. So I want to try and give something to them people because, I mean, it helps me massively.
Yeah.
But also people getting into it, like how important are thumbnails? Are keywords, do they matter?
Way more. Title and thumbnail and the quality of the video is the big things. 3 bigs. If we come to the end of this podcast, my brain's starting to wind down. The 3 bigs.
Are we coming to the end of it?
Yeah, I don't know. We could be talking for 2 more hours. Let's keep going.
There we are. You cheeky bastard.
The thumbnail, title, quality of the video, 3 bigs. Keywords and that kind of thing doesn't matter as much anymore. I think the algorithm is so good at putting the right video in front of the right person that you really don't have to stress too much. But if your video is about gym stuff, probably put gym in the title. A good example is we started an extra channel, which we've now changed. It was Cade Media Extra, and now we've changed it to Cade Media Clips because we pretty much just put podcast clips on there. You know, when you cut down a big podcast into small ones? And immediately, those videos with 0 subscribers and a brand new fresh channel did well. And then that was an indicator like the YouTube algorithm just knows. It probably knows that Cade Media is the thing. It has already categorized the main channel as cycling and people like that channel if they're into cycling. Some people do, thank goodness. And then it treats that channel in the same way and tests out giving a few videos to the same audience.
You mentioned quality as being one of the key components for success on YouTube.
Yeah.
Does it matter on professional camera setup? Can you just use your iPhone?
No.
Or do you mean quality of content?
I mean quality of content, which is a broad. So we talked about this last time.
We did.
Yeah.
I want to say if you've changed your
Still
mind.
means the same thing. Same answer. It's providing value to people. If you give them value, you could film it on a potato. A bit like your podcast. No, I'm joking.
This guy.
This is actually a way more legit setup than mine.
I don't know, like you've got a pretty good space here, like.
Look at my brain is really shutting down now. Joe Rogan, filmed on a potato. Biggest podcast in the world.
Yeah, very true. There's a lot of them, to be fair.
Yeah. There's some podcast, and you audiences are quite forgiving. So like, I listened to a podcast the other day, which was a dial-in. I was telling you, and clearly one of the audio tracks had been run through Adobe. What do they call it? Like there's an audio thing.
Yeah.
And you can notice when you're listening with headphones that it's not quite right. It's not a professional microphone. But the guy was dropping some absolute knowledge bombs, and I'm like, I don't care about the audio quality because I'm learning really useful shit here. So that's what quality is.
Right.
That's what value is.
One thing from last time that will be different is your following. It is on Instagram. It is on YouTube. Are you noticed more?
I used to live in London, and when you live in London and you ride a bike, you cycle the same routes all the time, and it actually got quite a few people recognize me, and it was nice. It was always, every person who's ever come up to me in the street has been like so friendly, and it's been amazing, and I do not mind it at all. In Newcastle, nowhere near as much. I guess the cycling routes, well, everyone here is so hilly, no one's riding my commute.
So you don't get recognised here?
Much less than when I was in London. This is less people, of course.
Do you prefer that?
I do not mind either way.
The reason I ask you, and you're going to be blown away,
Yeah.
I get spotted all the fucking time.
Do you?
Aye, and we're not even on 10,000 subs. And I don't know how much I like it. And this is a conversation I've had.
Is it because when I hang around in Newcastle, I come here, which is like a back alley building that people wouldn't walk past, and I ride straight in quite quick, past my bike shop, but the people there are actually my friends. And then I ride back out again, and I don't go to the gym and things like that. You're hanging out at the gym, right?
Yeah, it's a social
which is a hot spot. So you've got to sign up to one of those rich people gyms now.
It's just
You've got to pay like 10 times as much just to work out in peace.
The reason I ask you that is just because like that was never the intent. The goal of my podcast was ultimately to have conversations, try and learn more about myself, right?
Yeah.
And it lets me get my foot in the door with people who just wouldn't give you the time of the day. There's a lot of business that I've getting off the back of having a podcast because, you know, you try and, I mean, we talked about this before, but you know, you want to try and do business with whichever brand. No, we don't need your videography services, mate. Cheers. Okay, do you want to talk about yourself for an hour? Yeah, okay. Once they're in that room with you, actually adds a sound. I get on with him. Oh, you're a videographer as well. We actually need. So it's helped massively.
Yeah, one of my friends recently runs strength and fitness channel. He's mainly Instagram, and he's like, I think of Instagram as my business card.
Yeah,
which is bonkers. Like that's it's instant. It's that foot in the door, isn't it? It's instant credibility for a lot of people.
How much effort do you put into Instagram?
0.
Do you know?
At some point, we would like to hire someone who can take control of Cade Media, Instagram and socials and TikTok and all of that stuff. But at the moment, none of us do it. We have one, and we post pictures of Bella the dog, who you met the other day.
Yeah.
She's pretty amazing.
Lovely dog.
But we don't have time. Like all of my time, Jimmy's time and Emily's time is focused on the things that we know do well, which is podcast. Jimmy is in the videos and business relationships and that kind of thing, and getting, managing like, Jimmy, I need 6 bikes. Here's a list of them. Can you please try and get them from the brands to lend us the bike so we can do reviews of them? That's his job. And my time is best spent making videos, scripting videos, editing videos, posting them, eating ice cream.
Francis, one thing you didn't know about the cycling community that you now know?
It's a big question, It's a big question. It is full of beep. Is that how we end?
Let's end there. Francis, thank you so much for coming on, mate.
Thank you.
So if you've enjoyed this conversation and you like things like this, make sure you click up there and watch this episode.